Alright, y'all, so we're continuing again today in our series called Blessed, where we look at the blessings God's given us and all the gifts He's provided for us. And we look at how we're supposed to live based on those blessings and on those gifts. Continuing today in Matthew 5:8 as we work through the Beatitudes. There's two left following this, but Matthew 5:8 says this: Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. That's just so cool, the thought of being able to see God and just the possibility of having such a great relationship with God that we're able to someday see Him. I think this is awesome because, again, there's Old Testament reference to this. And again, what Jesus says in the New Testament has had a way paved for it in the Old Testament. So Psalm 24:3-4 says this: Who may ascend the mountain of the Lord, who may stand in His holy place? The one who has clean hands and a pure heart, who does not trust in an idol or swear by a false god. So this kind of explains to us what it means to have a pure heart. It means to live in a way where we don't trust something other than God, where we don't swear by something other than God. It means that we put God first and foremost, and we make God the center of our life. So what does it mean to have a clean heart, aside from just not having false idols? It means to trust fully in God and to worship only God. Again, very similar. But we like to put our trust in things of the world. That doesn't always work out for us. We need to put our trust in God and only God. See, God knows everything. God's created everything. God knows what's going to happen. God knows how things are going to happen. But we like to put our trust in things aside from God. But only God is the one who knows it all. What does the world tell us about? What does the world tell us about this? The world tells us it's okay to trust in other things of the world. The world tells us it's okay to deceive others. The world tells us it's okay to live with no regard for anyone else. And that's the conflicting worldly view. Again, we've been going through in this series what the Bible tells us, but then also what the world says. And they're different. They're blasphemous to each other. But here's the thing. The world will tell us it's okay to be deceitful. It's okay to be deceptive. It's okay not to have regard for others. It's okay not to care for others and not to help others. It's okay to trust in other things of the world and not to trust in our God. But that's not how we're called to live. So what do we gain from living differently than how the world tells us to? What is our reward? Our reward for being pure in heart is seeing God. Something I already said, it's just so amazing to think about. To see God would just be such a blessing, I think. 1 John 3:1-3 says this, though. It says, See what great love the Father has lavished on us, that we should be called children of God. And that is what we are. The reason the world does not know us is that it did not know Him. First of all, 1 John 3:1 in itself is amazing. What great love the Father has lavished. But see what great love it is that the Father has lavished. We can see what God, or how much God loves because of what God has done in our lives. Just more than we ever deserve, more than we could ever fathom. And that is what we are. The reason the world does not know us is that it did not know Him. It's also just incredible to think about. People don't know how we're supposed to live because they don't know the gospel, they don't know the Creator, they don't know the one that gave us life. See, the people of the world that live like the world, in the world, tell us that the Bible is blasphemous. But that's because they don't know the one who wrote it. We're called to live in a way where others too can see the glory of God through the Bible. I'm going to continue in 1 John 3, verse 2. Dear friends, now we are children of God. Amen. And what we will be has not yet been made known. But we know that when Christ appears, we shall be like him, for we shall see him as he is. All who have this hope in him purify themselves just as he is pure. Again, we're called to be made pure. We're called to live a pure life and be pure at heart. It's because that the love that God has for us, even though we don't know where we're going, we know that God loves us. And we can live with that hope in us, knowing that it's okay to give up these worldly things. It's okay to make these worldly sacrifices so we can please our one true God, so we can be pure in heart. Because we know a God that the world doesn't know, we will face pushback though. We will be set apart. The world will look at us differently. Different's not always a bad thing though. I want to encourage y'all. Yeah, that sounds kind of gloomy. The world's gonna look at you differently, that you're gonna face pushback. You're gonna be set apart. Sometimes that's something that people fear a lot. A lot of people fear that a lot. But here's the thing, y'all. The world will look at us differently, yes, but different is not always a bad thing. Use God. Or use the way they're looking at you to make God known and share God's love. His almighty, everlasting love. I want to share a story real quick. I work in an industry that's not full of too many Christians. I did an internship this past summer with a pro sports team. And we were working one day where we were going all over the town I was in, and my boss and coworkers, we were in a van all day, and they're like, there's something different about you. It allowed me the opportunity to share my faith with them. It allowed me the opportunity to share the love of God with them, because they realized there was something different, but it wasn't a bad thing. Yeah, the world might look at you differently, but that's not always a bad thing. Sometimes they see there's something different about you. You have this hope when the world seems hopeless. That's because we have a God who fills us with hope. We have a God that we can be full of hope in. The world doesn't have that. We live in a dark, dreary place, but we have a God that we can serve who loves us. And he has almighty, everlasting love that he wants us to feel, and he wants others to feel it as well. We need to know God to know what it means to love others and to be pure in heart. So it's not enough to just act like you're living this different life. You have to actually know God. And we're going to get into this later on. But right now, we just need to make it clear what it means to love others is to know God. We need to know God to love others and to be pure. We need to know Christ to be like Christ. It's not enough to simply go to church on Sunday mornings. It has to be a lifestyle. It has to be a choice we make each and every day that we wake up. The way that we live is a reflection of Christ. So it needs to be evident through our lives, through how we interact with others. It needs to be evident that there's something different. Different's not a bad thing. Different is what God called us to be. And just because of this great God that we love and serve, just because of this great God we love and serve, we can have hope to press on and hope to be pure in heart. God is present and God is the provider. We can have hope in that. That's all I have. I just want to challenge you. Find hope. Yeah, this world, everything going on right now is kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy. You can plan and plan and plan everything to be perfect, and then something's going to happen and change that all. But use that to glorify God. Use being different to glorify God. Use this time in this chaotic, crazy world to glorify God and to find hope. So the challenge this week is simple. What ways can you, one, be pure in heart? How can you trust God when it's hard to trust in anything? And two, where can you find hope? Where can you find hope? Simply that. What can you have hope in? My challenge for this week. So just remember, blessed are those who are pure in heart. They will see God.